Fox's contributor, and you were terrific last evening. Thank you for coming back today. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
So you have cases in Washington, D.C., New York City, Southeast Florida, and soon to be Atlanta, Georgia. Which, if any, do you think go to trial before Election Day 2024?
Well, most people would bet on the May date in the federal case. Often courts will yield to a federal case of that kind. The problem is that the government filed a superseding indictment. They added claims, they added a party. That's a pretty wide open door for the Trump team to say, okay, you have a new case now that's been with these alterations. Give us a new trial date. That trial date would likely be after the election. So we still have to see if it's even possible to do that. Keep in mind that that case in Florida is full of classified documents. I've been lead defense counsel in those types of cases, and it is a very slow process.
Okay. The other thing is, as you've had a chance to think this through, I know last night on the 5, the indictment came out, and we were all scrambling to read it as quickly as we could, and you did it so well. But I thought it was interesting. Ruth Marcus is she is a lawyer herself. She writes for the Washington Post. She comes at things from the left, and she says in her piece today that it is terrible and tragic even that it has come to this. But then the last 2 lines say this: prosecuting Trump on these charges is a grave, even perilous step. Condoning his behavior by ignoring it would be far worse. And I'm wondering what you think about the wisdom of Jack Smith bringing these charges, particularly when a lot of the things, like, for example, this letter that was going to be sent to the states that says that the electors were supposed to be different, it never went. So what are they proving?
Right. Well, that's a very good question. You know, what concerns me is that many of the people celebrating this second indictment are just simply dismissing the implications for free speech. Those are quite dire and real. I mean, this is criminalizing disinformation. The Supreme Court said that a politician who knowingly lied in the case of Alvarez was still constitutionally protected. What the Department of Justice is saying here is we recognize that politicians can say false things, but just not Trump, because he was told they were false. Well, what type of standard is that? I mean, you're entitled not to believe some people in favor of others. He had lawyers who said, no, this was a stolen election. Yes, you could challenge certification. I disagreed with that. Many people did, but that doesn't make it a crime.
Right.
But very few people are considering the implications of all that. That the Department of Justice is saying that it can now arrest politicians who fail to yield, who don't accept the truth according to what the government says has been established.
Let me bring in the Wall Street Journal editorial board. Another troubling Trump indictment. Special counsel Jack Smith's broad authority of fraud has dangerous implications. Here's the key line they talk about. It's kind of a political question. You don't have to be a defender of Donald Trump to worry about where this will lead. Call for number 2. Thank you, guys. It makes any future election challenges, however valid, legally vulnerable to a partisan prosecutor. Democrats want Mr. Trump to be the Republican nominee, and Mr. Smith, whether he intends it or not, is making that outcome more likely. Look, I mean, you could go back to the 1990s and make the case that Bill Clinton, he benefited from an aggressive Republican Congress.
Yeah.
But the other thing that strikes me, and Dana and I were just talking before the show began here, our institutions are being challenged in a significant way by just about every angle and every party. And maybe 1973 would be similar to what we're experiencing in 2023. But just your reflection on those challenges that our democratic institutions and how they survive on the other side and what shape they are in.
Well, that's an excellent question, because quite frankly, we are in perilous times. I mean, the public has lost its faith in the Department of Justice, has lost its faith in Congress, even the courts. And we were hoping, at least I was, that if there was an indictment coming, it would be based on really unquestioned legal authority and unassailable new evidence. Neither is contained in this second indictment. Now, maybe Smith can get some of these co-conspirators to flip. Maybe they could offer new evidence. but they don't do it here. And the question we come back to is, when is the price too high to bag Donald Trump? You know, when Smith filed the first indictment, many of us said that it was a strong indictment. It's a serious threat to the former president. This is different. And I think that people have to really ask when that price is too high. Free speech defines us as a nation. This is a free speech killing case, and we need to deal with those implications.
Professor Turley, thank you.
I'm writing your quote down right now, and we shall remember that. Thank you, sir, very much.